Hello. Hi. How are you?
I'm so tired. It's been the longest Monday of Mondays in the
Oh,
history
man.
of Mondays, but digging out, challenging day, but like a chance for people to show up for me, which was like kind of cool. Like somebody have like, just realized like people have my back and I'm one of those people like, I'm going to just do it because only I can do it, and just
Mm,
having people who are like, I got this, and then having them actually have it. So that's been a gift of all the craziness of the day, is realizing that like, oh wait, oh cool, I got a team around me who sees like how they can help me and is willing to throw in. So that's a great feeling. So I'm taking I'm taking pride in that and sort of pushing through all the rest of it.
you have such a good attitude.
It's gonna right here's the thing, it's gonna suck one way or the other, so it's like either I can try to be as positive as I can about it, or I could sulk about it, and I definitely have those days, but I'm trying to get back to the kind of equanimity like quicker more quickly.
Hmm.
And so yeah, because you only have a limited amount of energy, so either I can spend it on being pissed off or I can spend it trying to dig out of the work.
That's true. And usually, like, it seems like those lessons or those opportunities are always hidden in like really shit days.
Isn't that true?
It's
Isn't
like
that
when
true?
you're having a beautiful, brilliant day where everything is going right, like there's not a whole lot of lessons there. Like the lessons kind of have to
Right.
suck. So,
Yeah, yeah.
you
How are
know,
you?
I'm good. I am good. Just it's been a really tough couple of like months, but I am hanging in there and I'm really excited to talk to you because I just feel like it's a good time to do it. It's the end of the year and I don't know. I think that just people can use always could use some I don't want to say cheerleading, but just some like, okay, you got this. Like, it's almost December, the holidays are coming up. It's
Yeah,
almost the
yeah.
new year. Like we're almost there. Like let's just hang on and do this.
I would say it can't be worse than this year, but we're not through it yet. So I don't want to jinx again, like knock on wood or something.
Yeah,
I
I'm
don't want
there
to
with
jinx
you.
us.
Yeah, no joke. So I all in all, I think I am doing like I vacillate between thinking that I'm just like really depressed and I need therapy all the time to like I love my fucking life and I'm good. It's like and in the evening it's I need therapy and in the morning it's like okay, things are good. So I'm confused mainly. I don't know.
That's a sign of like an early bedtime. That's what happens to me. I get really cranky and I'm like everything's terrible. And I'm just like it's time for me to shut down and go to bed.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm very optimistic every morning. But yeah, by the
Yes.
time by the time the day is drained, that battery, it's like I don't know how I'm gonna do this all again tomorrow. And then you
Mhm.
literally recharge and you're like, all right, cool, the sun's out, we can do this.
It's so true. The other night, like I went to bed at 7:30 because I was like, nothing because I knew everything that I do or that I try to do is going to be tainted with my really bad attitude and my feeling just really like shit. So I'm just gonna call it a day.
Nothing wrong with that.
Yeah, you just gotta do it. And it it is weird. Isn't it weird that humans have to sleep to recharge? I think about that a lot. Like that's so weird that we're all just like walking around and we all just kind of have to lay horizontal and go to sleep to recharge.
Right.
This is what I think about.
We have to plug into the matrix and get our yeah. It is, but like just imagine all the different systems that are like combining to like move us through life. There's a lot of
Serious.
stuff, right? There's a lot of stuff going on, and I always like to. I always think of. I enjoy sleep a lot, and
Mhm.
I get a lot of sleep, and so that's probably why I'm a little out of it. I worked very late last night, or I should say
Mm.
early this morning, and then got up and went back to work. But I like to imagine little like there's like a little army of like soldiers that are coming to repair me at night, and it like makes me like, especially after a tough run. I literally think of that every night. I go to bed after a really rough run, and I'm like,
Mhm.
those little soldiers are gonna come back and put me together. I'm looking forward to sleep. It's so corny, but
It's true though. Your body
yeah,
does like do its repair at night. Like,
Hmm.
it really does. And we get rested, we get recharged. It really does. I mean, sleep is so, so important. Getting good sleep
Yeah.
is so important. I don't know about you, but like when I quit drinking, that was one of like the best things was
Yeah.
getting good sleep, because like passed out drunk sleep is not good
Hmm.
sleep,
No, yeah, I used to think I had insomnia, but it was really that I drink and not necessarily blackout, but I like, okay, I'm gonna go. But as soon as the alcohol wears off in the middle of the night, then you're up. And I'd
Yeah.
be like, oh, I guess I gotta get up. I could never get back to sleep. I also like
Mhm.
snored when I drank. And so
Me too.
just terrible, real terrible sleeping patterns. And that was like one of the first things that shifted. It was like, oh my God, I don't really have insomnia. My husband's battling through some sleep issues now, so I'm trying to help him. I'm just like, you need to set a bedtime, even if you're not
Mhm.
tired. Eventually, your body will just get in the rhythm of it. You need to like turn your phone off, 30 minutes before, so you can
Mhm.
unwind. I'm trying to give him all the tips, but some days are better than others. But he's somebody I'm like, listen, sleep will change your life.
It's
Just
so true.
yeah.
It's so, so true. I read to Luann at night when she can't.
Oh, I like that. I
And
like that.
like I don't sleep with my phone in the bedroom, and I don't have any screens in the bedroom, and I shut the door. I don't let animals in the bedroom. And it's like that's like my little den. And if
Hmm.
she can't sleep, I'll just read to her, and like sometimes I'll just have to read a really boring book, and then she just goes to sleep.
What's so funny is he always fights it, and then I just say, "Come, just come to bed." And I said,
Mm.
and we could just talk, and then we'll talk for maybe 10 minutes, and
Mhm.
he'll all of a sudden I'll hear him like, "Oh, he's sleeping," and then I'm laying there awake like, "Oh God, oh God."
Oh man. Yeah, there's this other thing I do that's like a body relaxation thing where it's like I just visualize from my toes slowly all the way up my body, just visualizing my muscles totally relaxing.
Ooh,
By the time I get to the top of my head, I'm like jello.
ooh,
It's
I
so
like that.
you are running like mad, and you just signed up for something really crazy, right?
Oh my God, yeah. So I am running again. I did 100 mile. When was our last conversation? Our last conversation was a while ago. So at the end of October, on a random Tuesday, I attempted to run 100 miles by myself with a friend. So not technically by myself, but unsupported, not as part of a race. So I've done a 100-mile race last year. And so that always features a lot of aid station support, crowds to cheer you on. It's a race environment. So there's a lot of other runners that you could talk to pass the time. So attempted this one and was successful. My partner dropped out at mile 59.8 at 1 o'clock in the morning, and I continued on at 1:15 by myself. And then some friends met me at 5:15. But it took me 33 hours to do 100 miles on the concrete up and down this neighborhood path, and it was just one of the toughest things I've done, mostly because nobody's meant to be moving for 33 hours. I took a lot of breaks. I probably took about 7.5, almost 8 hours of breaks. And like at the end, it would just be like a break, 2 miles, a break, 3 miles. But coming off of that, I just felt really euphoric. So I love I love endurance challenges like this. I'm not going to be the fastest, and I've gotten faster certainly, but that's not what it's about for me. I think that like you get to a point when you do these crazy distances or these really hard efforts, you get to a point where like you're just too tired to keep the walls up anymore. And so when I hit mile 88, I was like walking up and down this path by myself. My husband had called in reinforcements to like bring me coffee. And I was like, I can't see anybody right now. Like, you need to tell him to go away. And I like just burst into tears.
Mm.
I took a video and I'm just like, guys, this is like the real thing. It's like, and like, but after that, you come through and like you're just so tired that all of those walls you build for yourself come down. And
Mm.
then like here you are left with like something that must be close to enlightenment. I mean, it must be close to being like just all everything falls away and it's just you and the other you, and you guys are just like, hey, and you're just moving forward. So
Mm.
and it was really tough. And the next day, I actually went back to work, so I took off a Tuesday and a Wednesday to do it. And I started Tuesday morning and finished at like 6 o'clock on Wednesday. And had to go to work the next day. I work from home,
Oh,
and I got up early and I was checking my work email at 6 a.m. and I saw that somebody had scheduled a meeting for that day to review a paper that I hadn't finished writing for my boss's boss's boss.
well,
And I was just like, well, nothing's gonna be harder than doing 100 miles, and I did that yesterday. So like, I just had that it didn't feel I got as much as I could done. The review went fine. I got some notes and some feedback, but like, it's like just
mm,
having that big challenge right behind me. It just changed how I reacted to it. So like, right, yeah, this week I'm like, oh God, I gotta write this paper, and I'm up until 3. But like being so close to just that Herculean effort, you're like, this is nothing, like, right, pshaw. And so so seeking that next thrill, when you first finish 100 mile or whatever is the limit of your endurance, and that could be a half marathon, it could be a 5K, but whenever you finish that big kind of that big thing, you're like, I'm never going to do it again. And then for me, like the next day I'm like, how am I going to top it?
yeah.
And so now there's a thing, 200-mile races, and these are less about races, and I think they actually call them like an endurance run,
Mm,
because at that point, very few people except the elites are running the whole thing, and I'm training to basically like power hike the whole thing. So anyway, so
mm,
I got into this race called Tahoe 200. It's 205 miles around Lake Tahoe. Takes place in September of next year. It's about 250 runners. Most of the runners have already accomplished the 200 miler, or are like uh, renowned or accomplished ultra runners, and they let in a few newbies every year. So I was one of the newbies that got in, and I'm super excited,
okay.
very scared, but I know I'm just really excited for like what it's gonna reveal to me, both in the training for it and
Mm,
then in the actual event, because like I can't even wrap my mind around, just it's not even just moving for that time. I also have some fears of wild animals that I'll have to contend with, and so and
mm,
just pushing it even further. So I'm super excited, and I feel like by signing up and getting into that event, it gave my 2021 new focus. So I'm
mm,
already thinking about 2021. The blog we need to do is when I'm having a bad week. The blog we need to do is when all the shit hits the fan, and like it's like,
yeah,
all right, how do I get through? I'm always
yeah.
pretty positive though, and mostly it probably sound much the same as this. I try to get back to the good as quickly as possible.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I just wrote a blog post a couple weeks ago, or I don't know. Yeah, I guess, yeah, 2 weeks back, like what I eat when I'm too sad to eat
Yeah,
anything. Like, because
PB
those
and J.
weeks do, yeah, PB&J, whatever, I mean, because those weeks, they definitely happen. But I think, I wonder, like, maybe you're the first person I've ever met who has more than 24 hours in a day. Like, I'm convinced of it, because you manage to get so much done, and you manage to like squeeze every bit of life out of like every moment. And congratulations on that 100-mile race or run. That was insane. I was following you on Instagram and looking at your updates, and I'm like, talking about like sleep. Like, you didn't sleep. You were actually physically going for that long. I mean, to me it sounds crazy, but I could see how that does break down the walls, and how doing something so challenging and gets you so far out of your comfort zone really puts your whole life into perspective. And like, the things that are challenging the day before that race were probably far less challenging the day after that race. And when you and that's the beautiful thing about getting out of your comfort zone, whatever that is for somebody. I mean,
Yep,
I
yep.
would, I, I don't know, I couldn't do it right now. Like, I can tell you that I wouldn't be able to do that at this particular time. There's
Yep.
other things that would get me out of my comfort zone. I mean, even just doing right now, even just doing like a workout video will get me out of my comfort zone,
Yeah.
because I'm like, I'm just haven't been into it.
Mhm.
Um, and I noticed the other day that like my butt is starting to like spread out like a pancake. And I'm like, huh, when did that happen? Maybe that's like a 40-year-old thing. Maybe it's just because I've been like just super not motivated to do shit. But my butt didn't used to be like a pancake, but whatever. So, like, but that's the thing about getting out of your comfort zone, right? Is it shifts your perspective about everything else in your life.
When I did our 100 miler this time, this was I actually batched before the night, the morning of. I batched. Oh God, what it was, a shaved broccoli and cranberry salad,
Mm,
and then I made some Italian baked tofu and
that's the best
some
recipe,
beef.
by the way. That Italian baked tofu. That's my
I
favorite tofu
I
recipe
just
ever.
it's my go-to now. I
Yep.
just made it again on Friday night because I run back to back on trail on the weekends. I run on the trail Saturday and Sunday, and so since I'm gonna try to start already thinking ahead to next year, incorporating and trying out different foods. How is it in my pack? Can I eat it on the run? Am
Nice.
I okay with it? So I took out we did 15 miles in the Red River Gorge on Saturday. It was so much fun, big group of people and socially distanced. And I had the Italian baked tofu, and it was such a great choice out on the trail. So I think
Nice.
that's going to be a staple for my Tahoe nutrition. I want to be running like a well-fueled machine, and I'm already like visualizing that stuff. Right? I haven't been to Tahoe ever, and so I see the pictures. I've been reading race reports, etc. But I was already envisioning myself eating uh, squares of Italian baked tofu, on the move, and so already like setting those visions up in my head. And I think that's why I experience deja vu a lot in life. I don't know if it's just me. If,
Mm,
if, if I get like, and it's such a strong feeling of like more of like I have been in this moment before,
yeah.
right? And
Yeah.
it happens over and over again. And part of me, I'm starting to think, I wonder if it happens because I'm constantly visualizing these things, right? So I
Mm,
set these like goals in action, and I don't just visualize, all right, I'm running on Tahoe. Like when we were just talking about the Italian baked tofu, and I was talking about batching before this last run, I was imagining myself right now in a Tahoe Airbnb cooking the night before the race, right? Like, so
mm,
maybe it's just because my mind is always picturing these things, but that also lays the foundation for success in accomplishing them. And so here's a great lesson that I've also been able to see. So I have another friend. I had a lot of friends join me on my 100-mile run, which was so amazing, right? That friends would come out and meet me. I had a tracker going the whole time. And even when I was really struggling and I told my other friend, go home, don't show up, two people who weren't in touch with me on my phone but were following me on my tracker popped up. And I thought I didn't want to see anybody, and I totally needed that
mm,
support. So one of my friends, a climber friend of my husband, has been spending the year focused on running a 100-mile race. And so he's been building up all year. He's had some tough ups and downs, and he's like all year long because he's training so long and hard. He's like, man, Erica, I don't know how you do it, because now he's seeing like he's going through the process. And so he actually he had his 100-mile attempt last weekend, and he dropped out at mile 50. But at like mile 36 or so, he had posted to Facebook, or his wife posted to Facebook after he had passed and said, oh, Kip's not, he's not feeling well. Um, he says he might call it at 50. And as soon as I saw that, I said, he's
mm,
going to call it at 50.
mhm.
The moment you give yourself that out, you're going to take that out. And
Yep.
so when I did the 100 and I had my partner with me, and he started talking early on, and I'm like, look, don't worry. Like, it was our second attempt at doing this 100 by ourselves. In the first attempt, we stopped at 50. And so I told him, all you need to think about is finishing. Don't worry about time. Don't worry about anything else but
Mm,
one foot in front of the other. And so around mile 49, he was hurting already. Like, he wasn't feeling great. My feet were hurting too. And I kept trying to tell him there's a difference between hurting and being hurt, right? So
mm,
we're hurting right now, but if you're not like hurt, right, injured, like you'll get over this hurt. And that's part of the gift of this like challenge. And so as soon as it was like mile 41, and she started talking, like he's all of a sudden he started talking about, well, I'll take a nap here, and maybe like I might, and I like he's gonna be out. And so
mhm,
I had prepared, because it was our second attempt, I was already mentally prepared to do it alone. And so when we started on
mm,
Tuesday, I said, if he drops, I'm going to keep going. So we took a nap at 1 a.m. and at 1:15 we got up and 15 minutes. God, that was like the longest, shortest nap ever. And we're in his car. And so we got up and he says, I'm going to go home. And I was like, okay. I knew that. And so I got up and I put my stuff together. I didn't wait for him to pack up because I didn't want to see him leave. And so our aid station was in my husband's cousin's garage right off the trail. So in order for him to leave, I know he has to turn right onto the main street. And so when I just start walking, I get my stuff together and I'm like, fuck this, I'm out. And so just got to keep moving. And so when I hit the main street, I turned left because I didn't want to have to see his car drive away. And he
Mhm.
said to me before I left, he said, well, I'll turn my phone on, the ringer on really loudly. So if you quit, you can call me and I'll come get you. And I said, I'm not quitting. And I turned around and laughed.
Your
Like,
mind was made up.
I mean, and maybe it wasn't really, you know what I mean? It was tough. And I didn't think, I'm scared. I'm like out here in the
Yeah.
streets by myself and like,
Yeah.
it's safe neighborhood, totally safe neighborhood. But like, I just know that the moment that moment that crack appears, right? Just like how the crack lets the light in, the crack lets the dark in and lets the
Mhm.
doubt in. So you just gotta
Mhm.
be, so I think having those constant different visualizations of the mundane parts of the experience also helps. So anyway, that's why I always feel like I have deja vu. And I could just
Yeah.
talk on and
No,
on.
it's good. I know, I really like it because when you visual it's true. I mean, you just have to commit. And it's the same thing with batching. It's like if I go into it like, okay, I'm probably just going to make a couple of things, but I should probably do the whole thing. But I probably like I'll do whatever I set my mind to. If I set my mind to only doing a few things, I'm only going to do a few things, which is fine. Sometimes that's what needs to happen. But it like visualizing the outcome is huge. I mean, that's huge. And also knowing that like visualizing those mundane things are really good too, because they will come up and then you will have already, yeah, like you said, I mean, you would have already lived those in your mind. Um, the funny thing is like I was talking to a friend the other day and I was like, everything that I have right now in my life, I've had for a really long time, like long before it was actualized,
Yeah. I
and
love that. Yeah.
it's not like I'm not going to say like the law of attraction type of thing, or just because I think it's not that necessarily, because there's some deep flaws with that whole thing. Um, but generally, like I had this business, I had my house, I had the really healthy relationship, somebody who like really liked to go to the farmers market with me on the weekends. Like I was so specific in what I wanted with my life, and I would just, like I had so much fun daydreaming it. And I would put up like little like pictures of houses that I like and just things that made me really happy. And when I would go to bed at night, I would imagine like my business doing really, really well. And I went there so often because it made me happy. Um, and it's so funny because like all of this stuff in my life, I'm like, I'm not surprised because it was already mine. I just had to connect the dots to it. So the holidays are coming, and that means for a lot of people, what I see, what I've experienced, you know, people will say, okay, it's almost December, or December when we post this, which means that January is right around the corner. So I'm just going to do whatever the fuck I want to do for the rest of the month because I can, get back on track or whatever on January. And you touched on this a little bit. Like you said, now is the time to like start thinking about it, because then you're going to be better equipped when January comes around. The detox headaches won't be as bad, and you're not going to be feeling super super like ill, first of all,
Yeah.
to
And
be
then,
able to do something about it in January. So let's talk about that.
yeah, think about like when you want to be a beginner, right? Like, I think one of the things I hear every year around New Year's resolutions is like, oh my God, I'm scared to go to the gym. I don't want people looking at me. They're going to think I don't know how to use the stuff. So you want to go in January when the gyms are full of all the, the new resolutioners, or you want to go in now and start laying the groundwork. The other thing that's great about this month is for a lot of us I work at Amazon. So work is just,
Yeah, yeah.
but for a lot of us, before I got to Amazon, I worked in publishing for a while, and we always got the week between Christmas and New Year's off.
Mhm.
Or if you're at school and you're on break, but like we have a lot more bandwidth during the holidays, right? And we can certainly, I think a lot of times we choose to we choose to reward ourselves for the tough year, or like you said, I'm going to get it all out of my system before which is the worst thing, right? Like I didn't decide to quit drinking, but the night before I'm going to go on a crazy bender because I can't. So
Right, right.
it's just more about like setting ourselves up and easing in, and I just think that like January 1st is an arbitrary day,
Yeah.
and that like our I know it's symbolic, but I don't like to tie it to the new year either, because it just feels like I can remember being stuck in the cycle of having the same New Year's resolution every year. And
Mm,
so
mhm.
I stopped making New Year's resolutions probably uh a few months after, a few months after I got sober. And what I started doing then was I started setting like intentions for the year. And
Mhm.
I don't think I ever ended the year with the same intention I started with, but it was a great way to like give me something else to focus on that wasn't about my weight, that wasn't about my shape, that wasn't about these other things. And so I think that's the other piece is like I am um I'm a healthy woman, right? I've lost a lot of weight throughout the course of my life, and but I don't subscribe to, right? I think the thing that gets me most about New Year's resolutions is like it really it's a whole bunch of people trying to sell us stuff to make us that we're going to be better versions of ourselves. And
Yeah.
if you want to get in shape, that's great, and I salute you, and I want to support you. But like so much of New Year's resolutions is wrapped up in us not being enough. And
Mhm.
so I say, if you
Mhm.
start now, right, by setting an intention, by like setting a big goal, it becomes about how do I get there? Mostly just like deciding, having it be based on you and what you want, a goal as opposed to like a look or a number or something else. And so
Mhm. Mhm.
what better time for reflection than as we look back at the end of the year? Thanksgiving is the most perfect time to start if you have it, because we're giving thanks for all of what we were able to come through in a really tough year. And so when I
Mhm.
think about the things I'm thankful for this year, I think about like how can I repay this to others, and how can I create a life that makes, and so what a great way to kick off like a season of intent and a year of powerful living. And let's not wait for the first. Let's start with Thanksgiving. Let's think about all the great things, because hopefully there are some that came to us this year. Let's reflect on the things that we the hardships we had and the people we've lost, because it's been a really terrible year on that front. And let's think
Mm.
how we can honor them by living out as joyously as we can. And then we set the path for that. Like that's how I view
Yeah.
it. And I think like this is the perfect week to be starting that. December is the perfect time to be thinking about that. And then
Mhm.
Christmas is like the exclamation point on it. I'm celebrating, and it feels like it's weird to say, but for me, like I start my thinking of the next year pretty early, but Christmas always feels like a shedding, like
Mm.
sort of and I don't wait for New Year's to do it. It's sort of like, because it's joyous, right? And so it's not like, oh God, like I am emerging from the ashes of my old life. No, it's just like it's just like, all right, like okay, this season of Erica is over, and like this new season is coming, and what am I going to do to set it up for that? So I think like just making it
Yeah.
less scary and more fun.
Yeah, and maybe like we've just always had this message driven into our head that like, okay, New Year's is time to start over, and it's just such a thing that we've just always heard. But we can change that. Like, we don't have to subscribe to that. We talked about in the beginning about how really hard lessons come from really shitty circumstances, and so if you think about 2020 and how hard it's been, hopefully, it's also been an opportunity for a shitload of really important lessons. And so, what an amazing opportunity when you frame it in that way. Even something like having to put Panther down, or like I lost my godfather who was very close to me, like it happens. That's life. Like you can't have life without death. And it's all so like this weird fucking thing, but you go through that and you think, okay, now I can look at those things and think I'm happy I had the opportunity to grieve, and to be able to really really grieve and not have alcohol get in my way, and not have this pressure. Like I stopped putting this pressure on myself to like, okay, if I wanted to sleep for most of the day when I was really deep in my grief, like I just did. Like it's just about allowing yourself to express yourself the way you need to, and not beat yourself up over it.
Mhm.
Especially in that time of really feeling just super super, just sad, just wrapped in that grief. So where I was going with this, I don't really know where I was going with this, but it reframing it of like having this opportunity to learn these lessons, and how can you then, okay, we're all stronger now. Like we're all stronger than we were at the beginning of this year, right?
So what are you going to do with that strength,
So what are you going to
right?
do with
Like,
that strength?
yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. How are you going to
yeah.
make this worth it? Make the sacrifices, make the loss, make it worth it. You and I touched on death the last time we talked. I think both of us like have a sort of a exploration
Mm,
with death that we're sort of going through, and it's just been, I have a friend from high school whose daughter came home from hospice recently. I think she's about 3 years old, and she's
mm,
been documenting Junie's death, like active
mm,
dying on Facebook. They're living out all of the things that she wants to do, and it's just beautiful, and it's sad, and it's heartbreaking, and I remember pulling over and crying when I heard about it. But it's just been so joyous to watch them share these updates. I look forward to it every
mm.
morning. I go and was try to see what they were doing with Junie. And last week I didn't make a batching video this weekend, but she mentioned that they got up this morning and Junie demanded to listen to Pancake Robot, and now we're having a dance party. And I was like, "What's Pancake Robot?" So I listened to it. I put it on. I got Coco and the cats, and we did a dance video for Junie and
Aw,
posted it.
sweet.
But just being able to see them, I mean, it literally is the embodiment of the things that I'm reading and hearing about, of like the possibility, like how the possibility of navigating death differently. And I'm so thankful for
Mm,
them to share their grief and their love with us, because I can't
mhm,
imagine doing it. And they are teaching all of us so many amazing lessons just in the way that they are loving and losing their daughter. And it's just like, I'm got goosebumps. I'm probably gonna
mm,
start crying in a minute, but
mm,
like, it just touches me to the core. I just can't imagine such strength in the face of such adversity. But here it is again and
mm,
again, right? That these lessons are here to show us that, like, uh, they come to us to show us that we can be strong even when we're breaking, and to
mhm,
see that example of that family has just been just touching, and I feel
mm.
really honored to be able to be a part of that.
Yeah, what a beautiful and heartbreaking thing. And damn, it just reminds you, right? Like we Glennon Doyle has this wonderful, well, I just read her latest book this year. What is it called? I forget what it's
Is it
called.
Untamed?
Untamed, yeah, Untamed, really beautiful book. But I love that she says in there something so simple, but she says like we can do hard things. Like we can do hard things, and as humans, like we're always teaching each other, and we're always reminding each other of our strength. And I think that that's a beautiful thing. And I think that you are so like this conduit of just possibility and joy. And not like everything is always fucking great, because it's life and it's not. But it's like we get to choose kind of how we look at life. And yeah, and that's not everybody is able to like put that out there for all to see. And you really are, and you are very inspiring to me. And sometimes like when I'm having a bad day, I'm like, what would Erica do? How would Erica handle
I
this?
I'd probably curse a lot and then try to make a joke. That's my go-to. But
Yeah.
yeah, I mean, it's just like mostly it's willing to give up the shit,
Yeah.
right? Like I just had this conversation with my husband because I've really been working on anger.
Mm,
Like I get angry, but I'm much quicker to let go of the anger now because I'm actively working on recognizing it and going, nope, like, and
mm,
letting it go. So I'm definitely human. I know, like, the social media, you see like the highlight reel. So that's like why I always want to have the conversation. Like, I think when I post batching videos in the group, people are like, "Oh my god, your hubby's so cute, your pet, so I want your life, everything's so perfect." I'm like, listen, there's always bad days, but
yeah.
we try to remember the good days so that we get through the bad days a lot quicker. And so my latest thing that I'm just every day, my latest kind of personal mantra is, you want to be right or you want to be free,
Yeah.
right?
Isn't it true?
And oh my god, that Ram Dass like lecture, I mean, I probably haven't memorized at this point, but he's like, he tells a story about his guru telling him to love everybody, and he's like, I don't love everybody, and he's like, these people are in the, and so basically the guru is like, I didn't tell you to work it out, I told you to let it go, I told you to give it up, right? And so like, yeah, and I had a silly fight with Mark about something. It was so silly I can't even remember what it was. I got really angry, and then I came into my office and I closed the door, and he came in, and I was like, no, no, no. And then he walked away, and I went, and then that Ram Dass, you want to be right or you want to be free? And I kind of
Yep.
like, it came to me so quickly, right? And I
Mhm.
kind of tucked that tail because it's pride,
Mhm.
right? I tucked that tail between my legs, and I was like, and it wasn't an I'm sorry, it wasn't any of that. It was just like,
Letting it go.
that didn't matter.
Yeah.
Let's move on. Let's
Yeah.
start again. Let's start again.
Yeah. It's so funny. I have been working on that a lot this year, and I just found this little piece of paper that I wrote something on. I just found it last night, and it said, "Your job is to let go of your stuff." And I
I
was
think
like,
that
"Perfect. Yep, I
that's a
needed
dirt.
that reminder."
That's a dirty girl shirt. That's a dirty girl
Yeah,
shirt
just let
for
go of your
sure.
stuff, man.
Uh,
Just let it go. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. You just let it go and let it be okay. It's all right. And yeah, it's so true. And like one other thing I wanted to touch on before we wrap up is how important habits are and how important it is to develop those habits so that you don't have to rely on motivation, so that you don't have to like, okay, I need some motivation. Like, we don't want to have to rely on motivation. Like,
no.
that's not a good plan, and it won't doesn't work. So instead, we have these habits, and I guess talking about the end of the year and kind of either just saying fuck it and eating like all the donuts and all the booze and like all the cheese, like that's going against creating those habits. And once you have those habits, like you might like sway a little bit for here and there, and like that's okay. Um, because you have this habit to dive back into, you don't have to think about it as much. You just kind of do it. And so I can't like stress enough how important that has been for me, and just like what I've experienced in our community as well. Like, and just the people who are really just do it, like Lindsay, she batches the meal plans every week. That's her habit. She doesn't have a mind fuck with it. She doesn't negotiate with it because she just does it, right?
Yeah, 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 yeah.
um
It's a non-negotiable. It's
it's a
just gonna happen.
non-negotiable.
It's gonna happen no matter what. Yeah,
Right. And so developing those habits, and anything that you can do to, and you with your running, like I see your Instagram, I see your Facebook, like there she is again, there she is again. And it's just like it's just a habit. And
yeah,
man, it's so much easier to stick to the stuff that you want to stick to if you just have it and you don't have to think about it.
yeah. The other thing is, like, it's so funny you say that. I've been testing out different planners. I bought a new planner. I got the, what is this? This is the Clever Fox planner. I got the Passion planner. I got the Monk journal. I got all these damn planners. Best Life. And finally, I went, you know why I don't stick to these planners? Because this isn't practical for my life. So literally last night at probably 1 a.m., when I was trying to take a break from work, I blocked out my week. And it, like, if you were to see, I have it up on my other screen. If you were to see this, I color coded it and everything. It starts at 5:30 a.m. And I literally have a recurring a
Mhm.
calendar invite that says wake up routine because I'm trying to establish this new wake up routine. And so it's not I've been in my head I have it, but I've been struggling to actually put it into practice every morning. I'm like, oh, I forgot the juice before Mark went to work and I ran
Mhm.
out of time. He didn't really run out of time, right? I get up at 5:30 in the morning and I don't need to be at work until 9, right? And I work from home. So I didn't really run out of time. So I've literally have blocked off the time. I have my wake up routine. I have my morning mobility, reading and journaling updates scheduled out, juice, shower, and mostly to show to myself because at the end of the day, when I have a list of all the stuff I didn't get done, it's because I didn't have time. Mostly to show myself that all right, I blocked out the non-negotiables on my calendar, and I have my
Mhm.
running in there, and a bedtime routine and dinner, and so I've blocked that out to say like, all right, so that's the non-negotiables. You still have all this time for work-related stuff, for meetings to pop up that you can slot them in,
Mhm.
and so uh, having it in this way, some people are like, oh God, that's not creative, or that seems like a lot of work, but mostly I like what Jocko Wilnick says, discipline equals freedom.
Mm.
And so, right, like if I have the discipline to have it mapped out here, it's freedom because tomorrow morning I don't have to go, what should I be doing right now? What did I not
Exactly.
forget or be scrambling? And then like you
Yep.
said, it's habits. So eventually I don't need my calendar to tell me that 5:30 I should drink hot water with lemon and feed the dog. And at 6 o'clock I should make a juice. Right. I don't need
Yeah.
like I won't need that. But now I do. And that I found a format that works with me instead of trying to like, I want the cute planner and I want to have that nice I want to have the nice handwriting and be writing about my yearly intent. So this will work for me, but the habits are important and
Yeah.
willpower, right? People are like, oh, I wish I had your willpower. When I was losing weight and sort of when I stopped drinking and then started exercising, people are like, oh, you should be a personal trainer. You should be a life coach. And I'm like, because most people just don't have the discipline to
Mhm.
do what they want, what they really want, right? It's not about
Mhm.
willpower. It's about like how do I create the structure for success?
Mhm.
And so that's a whole once you have that's a whole different conversation that brings it back within the realm of possibility for anyone looking to
Mm.
accomplish anything, right? And so
I like it.
yeah, so set those habits, man.
Well, let's connect soon, and to everybody watching this, like, let's just go into December and just like do our best. Like, let's not like freak out, and let's not aim for perfection because it doesn't exist anyways. Let's just do our best to like keep some of the good habits that we've developed this past year, like let's just make it easy.
Hmm. I think that's the way to
How does that
go.
sound?
I think that sounds fantastic.
Awesome.
I'm
Okay,
I'm on
Erica.
board.
Yeah,
Thanks,
well, high
Molly.
five. Have an awesome rest of your year, and I will be talking to you again soon.
Happy holidays, everybody. Thank you, Molly.
Bye.
Bye.